Guys, welcome back to another Brokowski's YouTube video. Today we got our top 24 wide receivers for week 4 of fantasy football. And before we get into it, we have a free group chat for all you guys to join. It gives out our weekly rankings, it gives out trade targets, gives out waiver wire targets. First link in the description. It's an app called Chalkboard, completely free to download, and once you sign up, you automatically get put into our group chat. Boys, let's get right into the video. First wide receiver, again, every single week, don't really need to talk about him. It's Cooper Kupp. He is the best receiver in fantasy football. Another guy we don't need to talk about much is Justin Jefferson. He has been pretty bad week 2 and week 3, but we do expect to bounce back. Week 1, he was amazing, and again, not much to say. He's a wide receiver 2 this week. And at wide receiver 3, Stephon Diggs. He has been absolutely balling, averaging over 28 fantasy points, I believe. That is a crazy number, and he's going up against the Ravens, who are 32nd against wide receivers. Absolutely love this matchup. Absolutely love the player. Stephon Diggs is definitely an elite wide receiver in week 4. And our next wide receiver, our wide receiver 4 this week is Devontae Adams. He has a bit of a tough matchup against Patrick Surtain and the Denver Broncos, but he's an elite wide receiver. He'll get through it. Week 1, he was amazing, over 30 fantasy points, had 17 targets. Again, his targets have stayed not consistent, but pretty high. He got 17, then 7, then 10. Derek Carr is looking to get this guy the ball, and he's an elite wide receiver 1. First wide receiver of the next year is Tyreek Hill. If Tua wasn't questionable, he might be in that elite tier, but he's still a beast. Still our wide receiver 5 for the week, and it's a great matchup against the Bengals. Another player in this Bengals-Dolphins game, we have Jamar Chase at wide receiver 6. T. Higgins has outperformed him the last 2 weeks, but we expect Jamar Chase to have a bounce back. Jamar Chase has that elite wide receiver 1 upside. He can blow up anytime, anywhere. We love Jamar Chase this week. Wide receiver 7 on the week is Deebo Samuel. Absolutely love for him that Jimmy Garoppolo is back. Obviously, the injury sucks. That is horrible. But the fact that Jimmy G's back makes him so much more valuable for fantasy football. And it's against the Rams. Always plays pretty well against them. Love this matchup. Deebo Samuel is our wide receiver 7 for week 4. And next up, our wide receiver 8, we have Mike Evans. He played really well week 1. Week 2, got in that scuffle with Marshawn Lattimore. Got ejected week 3. Obviously didn't play this week, though. Against the Chiefs, we expect a high-scoring game. With all the Bucs injuries, Mike Evans should be the clear wide receiver 1. Even if Godwin plays, we like Evans as the clear wide receiver 1 in this offense. We love Mike this week. And wide receiver 9 is A.J. Brown. Yes, he was outperformed by Devontae Smith, but A.J. Brown is still the number 1 in this offense. He has been balling this season. This whole Eagles team has been looking amazing. Upside is through the roof every single week. A.J. Brown is definitely a wide receiver 1. And our last wide receiver 1 this week is Amon-Ra St. Brown. He has been balling, absolutely one of the biggest steals of the draft. We also love the matchup against Seattle. He would maybe be a bit higher without the injury, but he is questionable. He should play, but again, that injury could limit him a little. But again, we love the matchup against Seattle. He's a great wide receiver 1. At wide receiver 11, first player in borderline wide receiver 1 is Michael Pittman. Had an amazing game week 1, missed week 2 with an injury, and came back last week, had over 14 fantasy points, was super solid. Against the Titans this week, we expect a close game, and we like the upside for Pittman a lot in week 4. And our wide receiver 12 on the week is CeeDee Lamb. He was decently disappointed week 1 and 2, but week 3 he exploded, over 22 fantasy points. His targets this year have been insane. 11, 11, then 12. This guy is the clear vocal point of the Cowboys offense. We love him as a borderline wide receiver 1. Starting off, our elite wide receiver 2 is Jalen Waddle. He is questionable for a Thursday night game against the Bengals. We're all hoping he does play. He has tons of upside, but again, he is questionable. Tua has some injuries, which might limit them a little bit, but again, love him as a high-end wide receiver 2. And next up, another guy in this Dolphins-Bengal game. They're all back-to-back in our tier list. We got T. Higgins. T. Higgins has outperformed Chase the last 2 weeks. He's very solid, has that touchdown upside, gets a good amount of yards, and we like this game to be high-scoring. We like all the wide receivers in this game. Next up is Courtland Sutton. With Jerry Jeudy being slightly injured, he has stepped up as that clear number 1 for Russell Wilson. He has been a beast. Last 2 weeks, 19 points and 17 points, has been looking awesome. And again, with Jerry Jeudy being slightly limited, he's a clear wide receiver 1. When Jeudy gets healthy, he might be a little bit lower down these rankings, but right now he is amazing for fantasy football. And next up on this list, we got Mike Williams. In week 3, he got a touchdown, but that was his only catch. He did get 6 targets, but only 1 reception. That is a bit concerning. Week 2, though, he balled out 25.3 points. Keenan Allen should return this week, but we still like Mike better because Keenan Allen's injury, he might be a little bit limited. We love Mike Williams this week. And next up, we got Keenan Allen, also against the Texans. And like Ethan just said, he probably is going to be a little bit limited, or else he would be a lot higher on this list. We like Keenan Allen when he's fully healthy, but with the hamstring, again, like I just mentioned, it could be limited, which does cap his upside. And our wide receiver 18, a guy that exploded week 3, it's Marquise Brown. He had 28 points. In week 1, he had 14.3. Week 2, 12.8. he has a pretty high floor this season, especially without D-Hop. Kyler has to get this guy the ball. 28 points without a touchdown, 17 targets. That is crazy. This week against Carolina, Carolina has had a good defense, but being that clear wide receiver 1, he has massive upside. And the next player, also in the same tier, it's a big tier, it's Christian Kirk. He has earned this spot. He has been amazing. His lowest scoring game on the year is over 17 points. He has been an absolute beast. Trevor Lawrence loves throwing him the football. And yeah, his upside is so high every single week. He looks like the clear wide receiver 1 for the Jaguars. Definitely an elite wide receiver 2. And next up at wide receiver 20, we have Michael Thomas. Week 1 and 2, he was amazing. 22 points, 18.5 points, but he is questionable. We are assuming he's going to play week 3. He was a little disappointing, 9.9 points, had 5 targets, but had 5 catches. Every pass to him was caught. He did leave in the fourth quarter. Olave is rising up the depth chart. He got so many targets, but we still like Michael Thomas a bit better because of the red zone work. He's our wide receiver 20. And at wide receiver 21, Drake London. He has been absolutely balling this year. He's looking like one of the best receivers, best young receivers maybe in the NFL, and he's playing on a not great offense. Marcus Mariota loves throwing him the football. Got another touchdown again last week. Love him as wide receiver 21 for week 4. And next up at wide receiver 22, we have Deontay Johnson. This guy's been getting fed the ball. Week 1, 12 targets. Week 2, 10 targets. Week 3, 11 targets. Mitchell Trubisky loves to feed this guy the ball, but he hasn't scored a touchdown. The Steelers' offense isn't amazing. They aren't going to score a bunch. Also, he's averaging around 14 points per game, which is solid, but his upside, again, isn't super high in this offense. He's a low wide receiver, too. And next up at wide receiver 23 is Amari Cooper. You could definitely argue him to be higher. Last 2 weeks, had over 23 points in both games. He has been absolutely balling. The clear-cut wide receiver 1 for the Browns. Again, he has been absolutely balling. And this week against the Falcons, it's a pretty good matchup for him. And next up, our last wide receiver of the video, we have Chris Olave. The past 2 weeks has had 13 targets both game. Last week had 147 yards, absolutely crazy. Again, Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas are limited, so if one of them doesn't play, or maybe even both, he has massive upside. Even if they do play, he's still rising up this depth chart, gets a lot of targets, gets a good amount of yards, and we love him for week 4. And guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Again, if you want to check out Chalkboard, completely free app, free group chats, top link in the description. Again, thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time.